So I found another little treasure in somebody's backyard. I'm going to get this little Snowcat pulled out of this yard with the winch on my trailer and winch it up onto the trailer and take it home and see what I can do with it. On the serial number tag it says this is a JW69, which is like the J-5 body style. They use these for clearing sidewalks and other things. A lot of people are using these for skidding logs and stuff in the woods where it's tight, and that's kind of what I had in mind, along with maybe clearing some snow from the one side of our cabin, at least where the snow slides off there where we enter it. This unit's been sitting for 7+ years. It did run, she said. It has no doors or windows in it, or no doors or windows for it, which is okay. I'll probably take this original cab off and put something boxier looking on it. The idea is it's a single seater, and I think I'm going to try to make it a double seater if I can. So some things are just too funny to edit out, and backed over my camera, just tipped it over into the grass and the weeds right there and didn't hurt it, thank goodness. So I was so excited about getting this thing out of the yard, I didn't even check to see if it was in gear or not. The tracks are probably 50%, I imagine, and they'll go for a while. But I did find a guy up in Canada that has a lot of parts for this kind of stuff, so there's a chance I can ship some stuff out of Canada if I need to do that. I think there's some people in the United States as well that have parts for these too. I'll just have to do some research. The drive cogs are in pretty good shape. Bogie wheels look like they're solid rubber, which is a good thing. Anytime you have tires, you have issues. I do have one torsion axle that's kind of offset, kind of weird, so I'm just thinking maybe the wheel bearing on that particular idler wheel is maybe loose or bad. So I'm going to go through it, see what all it's going to need, and get it fixed up and start playing with it. This unit came with a flathead Dodge engine, 251 cubic inch. Should have plenty of power. I was told the thing weighs about 5,000 pounds, give or take. A lot of the snow blade on the front of it looks like it's kind of homemade. Some of it is. I may have to do a few modifications on it, but that's okay. Tried to turn it over. Me and my son tried to pour a little gas in it and turn it over, but we found out real quick that it doesn't have any fire, so I've got a few parts and pieces I'm going to have to buy for it and make sure I've got power to the distributor, and then we'll try to fire it up again and see how it's going to run. Kind of curious about that. Some of the controls inside are kind of seized up from sitting around in the weather for all this time. And, so I'm going to have to start spray lubricating them and greasing things up, getting things to move and work. It's got a 3-speed transmission in it, standard transmission. And ignition switch is bad. I bought a new ignition switch for it. So we'll do some work on the wiring and the switches and stuff like that, and try to get everything back up and running and operational. So it's got a hydraulic pump on the thing, and just runs the blade up and down. I have a 8,000 pound hydraulic winch that I'm going to put on it. I'm not sure yet. I may put the hydraulic winch on the front. I've got a 12,000 pound electric winch that I may put on the back with the apparatus that I'm going to use to tote logs out of the woods with. So we'll see what happens there. When we first turned this over with the battery in it, the starter in it was dragging a little bit, so I may end up having to get a starter rebuilt for it, or look around and finding a starter to buy for it. They're not listed at the local parts house that I went to, but that doesn't mean anything. There's a whole slew of internet things out there to look at, so I can do that. This Chrysler industrial engine, they say, is starting to get hard to get parts for, but I have found quite a few things online. The ballast resistor for the distributor on this unit was bad, and I happened to find one at a local parts house, so I picked that up, and I'll replace that here and try to get this thing to get fire. This thing does have a heater in it, which is kind of nice. But once I get a good cab on here, then hopefully it'll be sufficient enough to keep the windows defrosted and thing warm enough to operate in wintertime. Kind of surprised that the gas tank didn't smell worse than it did. I'm not sure if somebody had treated gas in it or what, sitting out here all these years. It's not in too bad a shape. All the hydraulic lines are going to have to be replaced on it, looks like. The return line from the control valve going back to the tank looks like it has a piece of heater hose on it that's totally rotted, so that's kind of a poor setup, so that for sure is going to have to be replaced before I even start this thing. Just what I needed, another project.